How you doing, baseball fans? Who is ready for the American League Division Series and the National League Division Series? We are down to 8. Cleveland, the Yankees, the Mariners, the Astros, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Braves, and the Phillies. Which 8 teams will be the final 4? Let's get to it. And good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? Hello. Tom Amiano is starting things off hot with a $4.99 super chat. He says, Robbie, shame the Sox stunk this year, but I'm looking forward to all the post and off-season content. As am I, my friend, as am I. Thank you for stopping by tonight, Tom, and thank you for getting us started here with a $4.99 super chat. Really do appreciate that. Hey, as a Sox fan, very excited for the off-season. I was very excited for this season to just be over, and that way we could just get to some postseason everything. Man, it was just a bummer of a season for the Red Sox, Tom. And, man, I was ready for it to be over. So, but everyone, welcome to the Division Series preview for tonight. I actually just I was going to do this earlier. I was thinking about doing this earlier, but I got caught up with some work stuff. I was also going to be doing the Believe in Red Sox podcast tonight, but hey, just got caught up with everything tonight. And hey, in the end, here we are talking the Division Series for both the American League and the National League. I'm going to go series by series. I'm going to try and avoid predictions, because at the end of the day, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm very bad at predictions, so I'm going to be avoiding predictions. I'll say which way I'm leaning, but at the end of the day, I'm going to try and go right down the middle and give an argument for both sides. For each team, I have keys. 3 keys for each team tonight. I'll look at where these teams ranked offensively with the starting pitching, with the bullpens, with some fielding, and so on. So let's get to it, everyone. And everyone, again, thank you for stopping by tonight. Really do appreciate it. But before I do get started, I just have to go over tonight's sponsors. I always got to do it. I'm just saying. But sponsoring tonight's episode, we have SeatGeek. Use my code HYDE, get $20 off. I mean, hey, playoff baseball. Playoff baseball, everyone. Go use my code. Go to a playoff game. What are you doing? Don't be sitting at home. Get your butt to the ballpark and go see a playoff game. My goodness. But you can also use this for the NFL. You can use it for the NBA. You can use it for whatever you find on SeatGeek. Also, we are sponsored by Prize Picks, especially with postseason baseball. If you're looking to win a few bucks, if you're into the sports betting game, which I will say, bet responsibly, always, please. But if you are into the sports betting game, absolutely go use my code GINGER. You get a 100% deposit match. If you deposit $20, they'll give you $20, especially with all the postseason baseball going on. They got some deals going on, so go check it out. And let's get to it here. So I'm just going to dive in, everyone. We got about 100 people here in the chat. I want to, again, thank you for stopping by tonight. I'm seeing a lot of members in here. I'm seeing some moderators in here. Some faces I haven't seen for quite a while. Brendan DH, James Hirota. How you doing, my friend? Luke 22 is here. Andrew Lee is here. JM 1231, one of our Mariners fans, is here. Ryan M, hello. Nicholas, one of our moderators. He's here pretty much every stream. Nicholas, you are a beast, my friend. I love you. Let's get to it here. So I'm just going to dive in. Let's get to right off the bat. Let's go to the defending champion Atlanta Braves, shall we? Let's go to the Atlanta Braves, but I got to get the music going. I knew I forgot something. I always forget something, and it was the music. I'm always forgetting the music, but the Atlanta Braves, man, the defending World Series champions, to be honest with you, they look better than they did last year. I mean, this team is looking absolutely phenomenal, taking the National League East in that series against the Mets at the end of the year. I mean, slowly but surely just steadily climbed their way back into the NL East race after being down 10.5 games. Absolutely unheard of. This Atlanta Braves team is just good all over the place. Here we go. The music is ready. Let's take a look at the Fangraph odds. Why is the music not playing? Come on, music. What are we doing? What are we doing? Music. Are you with me? Yay, the music is here. All righty, here we go. So, Fangraphs, Braves getting quite the advantage here. 57.5% chance, according to Fangraphs. They loved the Phillies over the Cardinals. We should have listened to the people over at Fangraphs. They had a hunch for the Phillies. And to be honest with you, we'll talk about the Phillies here in just a little bit. But the Phillies, they have a chance in this series. I'm not going to sit here and say the Braves are just automatically going to win this. Yes, they're the defending champions. Yes, they have a better team than last year. This Braves team is honest. This honestly could be one of the better Braves teams. If they were able to go win a championship this year, I think you could argue that this is one of the best Braves teams of all time. They're just very good all the way around. An elite bullpen, one of the best bullpens all year. An offense that just has so much extension in it. I mean, you have Ronald Acuna Jr. in your lineup, and he hasn't even been one of your better hitters this year. My goodness, you've just had bats all over that lineup. And then the starting pitching, especially with Spencer Strider emerging the way he did this year. And he should be good to go for this series. At least that's the last thing that I saw. I mean, I don't know if anything else came up, but he was dealing with an oblique issue. So for the Atlanta Braves, it's looking like they're going to have Max Fried, they're going to have Kyle Wright, and then Charlie Morton as their games 1, 2, and 3 starters. If we're taking a look at the Braves lineup, like I said, you got Ronald Acuna Jr. here. I mean, the fact that this guy is not even 25 years old yet, he has been absolutely amazing. You haven't even heard a whole bunch about Ronald Acuna Jr. this year. You've been hearing about Michael Harris II. You've been hearing about Dansby Swanson. Matt Olson was the talk of the town at the beginning of the year. Austin Riley's had an amazing year. But Ronald Acuna Jr., even though it's a down year for him, remember, he was hurt. And coming back, ended up playing 120 games, hit 266, a 351 on base is very good. The slugging is down at 413, but Ronald Acuna Jr. is always a threat. And look at the stolen bases, 29 stolen bases, a 4.8 base running. Ronald Acuna Jr. is absolutely fantastic. So, and I'm just pointing him out because this is a guy who's one of the best players in Major League Baseball when he's on top of his game. And he's not even the best guy in your lineup right now. And taking a look at the starting pitching, like I mentioned, we got Max Fried, we got Kyle Wright, you got Charlie Morton, and then Spencer Strider should be coming back. Had the strained oblique. Let me just double check here. So Atlanta manager Brian Snicker said that he looked good during a bullpen session on Sunday. The team is still in the process of determining the rookie right-hander's role, but it's looking like he's going to be on the team. I would imagine this is a guy who will be kind of a weapon out of the bullpen, kind of like how the Mariners used George Kirby at the end of that game to clinch going to the division round. So I can see Spencer Strider having a bit of a role like that. But here are my 3 keys for the Atlanta Braves in this series. If we go take a look here, my 3 keys. You got to keep Alec Boehm at bay. This guy has been hitting really well against the Braves this year. He's hitting .342 over the 19 games against the Atlanta Braves. Alec Boehm has not been able to be stopped by the Braves pitching staff. So they're going to have to figure out a way to keep him at bay. And we just mentioned Charlie Morton. This guy's been struggling a little bit. 6.23 ERA in his last 6 starts. Charlie Morton, this is a guy, he's a gamer in the postseason, but can he get off of those struggles and get back to being the Charlie Morton we know in the postseason? And Kenley Jansen, this guy he's had a lot of success, but postseason, you never know what you're going to get with Kenley Jansen. We even just saw some struggles last year with the Dodgers. Will he be able to be that key piece for the Braves in the bullpen this year? Luckily for the Braves, they have arms all over this bullpen. You got Raisel Iglesias, you got Minter, you got McHugh, you got Matzek. So with Jansen, again, this is a guy who has been just extremely good in his career, but for some reason, the postseason, even though he has some decent numbers overall in the postseason, if you take a look, Last year, he had an ERA of 0, but there were a couple of games there where he was getting roughed around a little bit, and then going back to 2020, a 5.14 ERA. This Kenley Jansen, he just has a knack for just having these infamous choke jobs in the postseason. So that's a guy I'm going to be looking out for. We'll have to wait and see how this bullpen ends up turning out. But luckily for him, they got arms all over this bullpen. And then if you have Spencer Strider as well, don't be surprised if you see Strider come in possibly at the end of a game. If you use Kenley Jansen, maybe like a tie game, 8th inning or something. You have Jansen come out maybe a little early. You could have Strider as that weapon at the back end. I could absolutely see the Braves doing something like that. So let's take a look at the Phillies here. I think, a lot of people are going to be picking the Braves in this series, but the Phillies, listen, a lot of people, myself included, horrible predictions. I picked against the Phillies, even though the Phillies, if you take a look here, overall, 10th overall in offense this year. After Joe Girardi left, my goodness, what the heck did I just do? They just really got it together. A very different team after Joe Girardi left. And then for the starting pitching, 2nd overall in starting pitching this year, phenomenal. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, very good years overall. And then you had other guys in here. Taking a look, we have Kyle Gibson. Ranger Suarez will be getting the start in game 1. Hey, don't forget, you saw Zach Eflin, right? In the end there against the Cardinals. Kyle Gibson has not been amazing overall. Actually, Kyle Gibson has pitched well against the Atlanta Braves this year, so keep that in mind. But for the Phillies, that lineup, my goodness, you got bats all over the place. You got Schwarber, who hits bombs left and right. Rhys Hoskins has been a pretty underrated player this year. Harper hitting the home run, MVP from last year, hitting the home run against the Cardinals. JT Realmuto, you always love you some JT Realmuto. Alec Boehm, after he said he just hated Philly, he got it together. Castellanos has been a bit of a disappointment. Brandon Marsh, he's been okay coming over to the Phillies here. He's been all right. He's done a couple of things with them. He's not like an amazing player by any means, but still a lot of potential with him. And then you got guys like Gene Segura, Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott has been pretty hot, so we'll have to wait and see. Or he was hot ending the season, so let's see. He didn't do too much in the wild card round. Let's see if maybe his bat can pick it up a little bit. So, and then the bullpen. Believe it or not, the Phillies bullpen has actually been pretty good this year. 9th overall in Fangraph WAR, a 4.27 ERA, but a 3.71 FIP. Really, the Phillies, in my opinion, have an underrated bullpen. If we go take a look at the 2022 stats, as of right now, you have Eflin. I know I mentioned it with the starting pitching, but he is listed as of right now as a possible guy. I mean, we saw him closing against the Cardinals, so let's see if they keep doing that. Remember, you brought in David Robertson there. They've had pretty solid guys all over the place. No standout names by any means, but you've had guys that have really gotten the job done. Jose Alvarado has been really good lately. So, for the Phillies, here are my keys for the Phillies in this series. Taking a look here. Ranger Suarez. Listen, you used Aaron Nola, you used Zach Wheeler in the wild card round. You got to have Ranger Suarez step up here in game 1. If you can get a win out of Ranger Suarez, oh my. And then you're going to Wheeler and Nola. I mean, if you're at a 1-0 advantage already and you haven't even used your 2 aces, I mean, that's huge for the Phillies. I think Ranger Suarez is a big key for this series. Nick Castellanos has not hit well overall this year, but he has not hit well against the Atlanta Braves overall in 2022, only hitting 191 with a 240 on base, a 362 slugging. My goodness, Nick Castellanos, please. I could totally see Nick Castellanos being like J.D. Drew in the 2007 postseason for the Red Sox. J.D. Drew was horrible that year. They paid him a lot of money, but then in the postseason, he stepped it up. Can Nick Castellanos be that guy for the Phillies? I mean, they've had some guys stepping up with the bats, but if Castellanos can get it going, that's just going to make it tougher for the Braves pitching. And the defense. Listen, the defense, they came through against a very good defensive team against the St. Louis Cardinals, but this defense overall this year has not been great. 25th overall. The Phillies, if they want to beat this good Braves team, they're going to have to play some good fundamental baseball, fielding the ball, doing what they need to do out in the field. So those are my keys for the Phillies. If I'm going to lean one way here, I mean, I think you have to lean Braves because obviously this is a winning team. I think the Braves, they really showed who they were against the New York Mets. I think that was, sure, that won them the division, but I think that was a statement win, a statement series win that says, hey, we're going to be tough to beat in this postseason. We're the defending champs. Here we are, right? They showed in that Mets series they're a winning team, right? And the Mets showed in that series that they were not a winning team. And look what happened with the Mets last night. So I think you have to lean with the Braves. I am not counting out the Phillies in this one. There's always some kind of a surprise in a postseason. There's always some dark horse. The Phillies, to me, they're about top 10 in the three major categories: offense, starting pitching, and the bullpen. The bullpen has been sneaky good this year. I'm not counting the Phillies out. I will not be surprised if this goes to a game 5. I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves swept. It could go a whole bunch of different directions. I gotta lean Braves. I think most people will, but the Phillies are underrated in this series, and I think people need to take them a little seriously. Game 1 is going to be huge. If the Phillies steal game 1, that's going to be massive. I'm just saying here. So overall, in this series, they think the Braves, the highest % chance of how they see this series turning out is the Braves winning it in 5 games. So the best shot for the Phillies would be to win it in 4 games, according to Fangraphs. I mean, I'm just saying, if you can steal a win with Suarez on the mound in game 1, and you can get Wheeler and Nola to dominate, in games 2 and 3, I mean, or one of them at least, and then you got a game 4 and 5. I'm just saying, Phillies can win this. They definitely can. So let's move on here. Let's move on. Let's move over to, we just talked about the defending champions, the Atlanta Braves. Let's take a look here at the defending American League champions. Why is my computer all of a sudden just freezing on me? Let's take a look at the defending American League champion Houston Astros going up against the upstart Seattle Mariners. This is going to be a fun one. I love it. A divisional matchup. I love the Mariners, man. I think everyone wants the Mariners to win this series, unless you're an Astros fan. But they're going to have a tough task here with the Houston Astros. An extremely good team. I think you saw a lot of people picking the Dodgers. You saw a lot of people picking the Braves. You saw some Astros picks as well, but I was surprised I didn't see more picks with the Houston Astros winning at all. I don't understand why, because this Astros team is extremely good all the way across the board. But so let's talk about the Astros first. You got Verlander, who's probably going to win the Cy Young. Framber Valdez has been a really good number 2 this year. Christian Javier has had an underrated season. You got Lance McCullers Jr., who came back late in the season. He's looked pretty good. And with the Mariners, you got some young starting pitching here with Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo. He looked absolutely fantastic against the Blue Jays. Robbie Ray got roughed up a little bit. Let's see how he can do in this series. But with the Astros, taking a look here, I mean, like I said, they're phenomenal all the way around. Looking at the offense, I mean, even without Carlos Correa from last year and George Springer from a couple of years ago, I almost like this lineup a little bit more. I just love Jeremy Pena. I love how good of a replacement he's been for Carlos Correa. Sure, maybe he hasn't eclipsed the wins above replacement that Correa provided from last year, but Pena's played some really good defense. He's hit for some power. He's been hot with the bat lately. Jeremy Pena has been really good this year. Definitely one of the more, I think, underrated rookies. He was coming on strong there in the beginning, but when you got Julio Rodriguez doing what he was doing and Adley Rutschman, my goodness. But Alex Bregman has been extremely underrated this year. I mean, I don't think anyone realized how good Bregman was this year. He hit 259 with a 366 on base, 23 homers, playing great defense out there. Kyle Tucker's underrated every single year. This guy was great. 30 homers, 25 stolen bases. What else can you say? Yuli Gurriel, a bit of a down year. You ended up getting Trey Mancini at the deadline. He was okay. But Jose Altuve, how did I miss him? Jose Altuve has been really good this year. Hit 28 homers, 18 stolen bases, hit 300, a 387 on base, a 533 slugging. One of the best leadoff men in the game. But most of all, with the Houston Astros, you got Yordan Alvarez. This guy has been mashing this year. He just is reminding me of David Ortiz with the Red Sox. My goodness, this guy's just a monster up there. Hitting 306 with a 406 on base, a 613 slugging, 37 homers. this offense is extremely good. If we take a look at the offense here, 6 overall in WRC+. Moving on, we have the starting pitching. Like I said, it's very good. Verlander, Valdez, Javier having good years. Javier has been really good lately, 3rd overall in the power rankings with Fangraphs over the last couple of weeks. Lance McCullers Jr., this is a guy, about 8 starts, I think it was 8 starts this year. He's pitched pretty well since coming back. So look out for him. It's 8 games started, a 2.27 ERA over about 48 innings. He's been looking good. And then you still got someone like a Luis Garcia here. I mean, you got starting pitching for days. And this bullpen, you got guys at the back here, Presley, Montero, and Neris. They've been good. This has been a good back end of the bullpen. And then you got some guys here in the middle, some pretty solid pieces. And actually, one guy I want to pay attention to who could be a bit of a dark horse in this series, and even in this entire postseason, is Hunter Brown. 20 and a third innings, a 0.89 ERA. He's been pretty solid out of that bullpen, man. So, overall, this is a really good bullpen. For the starting pitching, they rank 1st overall. It's been the best starting pitching all year. And then they rank 3rd overall with the bullpens. My keys for the Houston Astros in this series. Lance McCullers Jr., like I said, 8 starts this year. He's definitely going to get the ball at some point in this series. Can he carry over this small sample size into the postseason? I don't see why not. He's always pitched pretty well. But again, not a whole lot of a sample size this year. Let's see how much he can contribute. Like I mentioned, the bullpen has been pretty good this year. However, over the last 30 days, a 4.05 ERA, not as crisp of a number as you would like. So let's see if the Astros, that bullpen, if there is one weak point of this team, I would say the bullpen, I think, has some cracks in it, maybe in middle relief. So be on the lookout for that. And Alex Bregman has been slumping a little bit. 7 hits in his last 42 at bats. And you're going to need Bregman here to really turn it on. So let's go to the Mariners here. Everyone wants to talk about the Mariners, right? So the Mariners, a 40.2% chance to win this series. I think the Mariners definitely have a chance. There are some question marks here. I mean, this is like it almost feels like, I don't know if this is even the right way to phrase it, like a passing of the torch, like a possible passing of the torch moment for the Mariners. You got this Astros team who they've just dominated that West for years now. And this Mariners team, this is the one team out of the West that has made any kind of a threat here against the Astros. Could you see the torch get passed here to the Mariners, at least for this year? I think they have a shot. They got a few things that they're going to need to be really taken care of in this series. So here are my keys here for the Mariners. Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. These are young guys that have really stepped up this year, but this is postseason baseball against a very good Houston Astros team. Okay, that's supposed to say Paul Sewald. Who the heck is Paul Seward? My goodness. Paul Seward. Who the heck is that? But Paul Sewald, he looked awful against the Blue Jays. My goodness. That guy has got to turn it around. He's a big piece in that bullpen. My goodness. Paul Sewald, please turn it around. The Mariners are going to need you. And Julio Rodriguez, I'm going to say that too. This is one of their best players this year. Probably going to win Rookie of the Year. But only 1 hit in the wild card round. So let's see if Julio Rodriguez can ignite this offense a little bit. I think those are 3 big keys to the Mariners. Out of all of these, I think Logan Gilbert and George Kirby are the big ones. But taking a look at the Mariners, I like this team, man. There is just a lot to like about this team. It's a fun team. Like I said, Julio Rodriguez, he's been fantastic. Ty France, he's been underrated this year. Eugenio Suarez has brought the power. Taking a look at the numbers here, 31 homers for Eugenio Suarez. Cal Riley's really turned on the power as well, playing some good defense back there. You got other guys like Haniger, Santana, Kelnick really stepped up at the end of the season there. And then you got, someone like Frazier and J.P. Crawford at the bottom of the lineup. But the starting pitching is going to be huge. I think Luis Castillo is looking like one of those guys that, these trade deadline acquisitions that you could end up seeing him carry this team all the way to the postseason. Just like, Johnny Cueto with the Royals. I definitely think you could see something like that, where just a trade deadline acquisition just puts the team on his back and just brings you to the promised lands. I mean, many times we've seen that. Remember, Randy Johnson, going to the Houston Astros back in '98. That guy was just absolutely phenomenal. I know they didn't go deep into that postseason, but Castillo, I love Luis Castillo. I've always liked him. I would have loved for my Red Sox to have somehow gotten him, but in the end, what can you do? Robbie Ray is also going to be a big key. He got knocked around against the Blue Jays in that wild card round, so they're going to need him. A big signing in the offseason. Like I said, you got Gilbert and Kirby here, two young guys, but two guys with ceilings for days. And then the bullpen, like I said, Paul Sewald, he looked miserable against the Blue Jays there. If I'm going to lean one way, I mean, you got to lean Astros, but if there is one team, I thought the Blue Jays absolutely could have knocked off this Astros team because that offense is just so good with the Blue Jays, but here we are. The Blue Jays just completely choked it, and the Mariners are here. But if there is another team that could knock off the Astros, it's the Mariners. I mean, these two teams are very familiar with each other. The Mariners have a lot of talent. I could see the Mariners winning this. I think you have to lean the Astros for how good they've been, but just like any series, you can't sleep on any team. I would probably lean for the Astros, maybe 5 games here. Maybe the Mariners just aren't quite there yet. But don't be surprised if the Mariners give this Astros team a really tough time and then find themselves in the American League Championship Series. The way they see this going, they see the most likely outcome, the Astros winning this in 5 games. 22.2%. The most likely chance for the Mariners is in 4 games. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. This is going to be a fun series. I'm excited for it. I always love divisional opponents going at it in the playoffs. That's always a fun time. So let's shift over to the National League, shall we? We got some games to talk about over here in the NL. No, actually, I take that back. We're going to stay in the American League before we go back to the National League. Let's talk about this. This is, I think, out of all of these series, I think this is the most interesting one for me personally, and that's the Guardians and the Yankees. This is a really interesting series. I know I just said that, but there's something about this Guardians team. I may have been just very bad with my predictions, but the one that I got right in that wild card round were the Guardians, and I also predicted the Guardians to beat the Yankees in this series. There's something about this Guardians team I like. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. There's just something about them, man. There's something about them. They got enough pitching. They're just that pesky team that they're going to be hard to beat. You got talent in the lineup. You have enough starting pitching, but then that bullpen is just so good. I mean, you got Clase at the end. Oh, dude's throwing 98-mile-an-hour cutters on the corners. That's just stupid. But the big key for the Guardians in this one, let me actually pull up my keys for the Guardians here. For me, I know I have it as the second bullet point, but I think Cal Quantrill could be a difference maker in this series. Cal Quantrill is a guy that throws a ton of cutters, and the Yankees have not hit cutters well this year. So keep that in mind, and Quantrill has had a pretty good year. And the next bullet point that I have after that is keep playing fundamental baseball. The Guardians are very good on defense, just like the Yankees. The Yankees are actually the best defensive team in baseball this year, but the Guardians are right up there as well. And the Guardians are actually one of the best base running teams in Major League Baseball. So they're going to kill you on the bases. They're going to make it really tough on you. They're going to put a lot of pressure on you. So that's why I think the Guardians, they're going to be really tough. But 2 guys in this lineup, the offense just really couldn't get anything across against the Rays. They barely, what did they score? 3 runs? How many runs did they score in that? Was it 3? I can't remember, but it wasn't many. But 2 guys in the offense for the Guardians. You got Steven Kwan and Andres Gimenez. They went 1 for 17 in the wild card round. They're going to need to step this up. And now going back over here to the Guardians. I like this team. I'll focus on the bullpen first because this bullpen is just so good. Clase is one of the best guys in Major League Baseball this year, one of the best closers. I mean, you got 3 guys here at the back end who have ERAs under 3. You got someone like a Trevor Stefan who's got 82 strikeouts over 63 and 2/3 innings. Karen Shack has been solid. I mean, even someone like an Eli Morgan has been pretty good this year. You got a lot of pieces in this bullpen. It's going to be a tough bullpen to get runs across. And then the lineup, or, let's look at the starting pitching. Cal Quantrill, again, kind of like Ranger Suarez with the Phillies. Cal Quantrill, he's that guy. If he can get you game 1 at Yankee Stadium, and then you got Bieber on the mound for game 2, and then you got a Tristan McKenzie for game 3, you have a shot. If Cal Quantrill wins game 1, oh boy, the Guardians are definitely going to be in the driver's seat. Seabass, how you doing, my friend? It's crazy how underrated Jose Ramirez is. I agree. Seabass, thank you so much. I think Jose Ramirez is going to always be one of those players, kind of like Manny Ramirez. And the comparison I'm making there is they're always going to have really good seasons, but it's never going to be enough to win an MVP. I picked Jose Ramirez to win the MVP this year, and then Aaron Judge with just a monster year ends up taking it over, and you got Ohtani there too. Jose Ramirez, I just don't think is ever going to be good enough to win the MVP, but that's not taking anything away from him. The guy's just a really good player, and it reminds me of Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez was very good every single year, but he never won the MVP. So that's how I see Jose Ramirez. And then looking at this lineup, again, it's not the best lineup overall. We got Ramirez, like we just mentioned, but Kwan needs to step it up. He has been slumping. Rosario a little bit too. But Jimenez has been really cold over the last month. Didn't really get anything going. But with Jimenez, you're going to get some great defense. You're going to get great defense all over the place with the Guardians. And then you got some good pieces here on the bench. So it's a good Guardians team. It's a young team. They got a chip on their shoulder. Don't forget, you had the whole thing that happened at Yankee Stadium. I don't know. You're going to be able to channel some kind of energy with that. I don't know. But then you're led by one of the best managers of all time, in my opinion, Terry Francona. Love me some Tito Francona. But, hey, Cleveland, do not count them out in this series. Let's talk about the Yankees. This Yankees team was an interesting one this year. The Yankees, they were really good in the beginning, and then they just looked awful in the second half, but then they got it going at the end of the year. Guys in the lineup were slumping horrendously. We're still not seeing a ton of offense. You are seeing some guys step up, like Stanton's been hitting some home runs. Oswaldo Cabrera was having some moments there. Gleyber Torres was hitting. It's looking like he was on the ILL, so it looks like he's going to be okay. But you're not getting a ton of offense, but of course, Aaron Judge, that's the best player in baseball this year. Should win the MVP. I don't care what anyone says. Ohtani does not deserve the MVP over Aaron Judge. But you got bats here. It's just a matter of who's going to step up in this lineup. I mean, looking here for my 3 keys, who else steps up in the lineup? You know you're going to get Judge. Well, I mean, hey, what if Aaron Judge goes cold? For the first time all year, what if Aaron Judge goes cold? It could happen. They could be attacking this guy. You got some good pitching over there in Cleveland. I mean, I know Aaron Judge has been hitting balls to Jupiter, but hey, there's always a chance someone could go cold, especially if they're really attacking him, and especially an organization like Cleveland, who just are very analytical. I mean, maybe they could find something here with Judge and maybe exploit that. And then the Yankees bullpen. This is interesting with the Yankees bullpen. Let's go back here. So I didn't talk about this last night, but Aroldis Chapman, he's actually still listed here, but he will not be in this series. Aroldis Chapman did not show up for a workout. They left him off the division round roster. They fined him. I don't know what the heck that was all about. Honestly, it's probably for the best that he stays home. But, so you lost Michael King in the beginning of the year. Hold on a second. Let me go over here. So, Britton, what's going on with Zach Britton? You got Marinaccio. I think I said that right. Marinaccio. He's not going to be there. He had a really good year when he was with the Yankees. So, you got some guys here. And Clay Holmes. What's going on with Clay Holmes? I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on here. So they got some injuries in this bullpen. But Luke Trevino has been pretty good. Loaisiga's been pretty solid overall. Efros was a good pickup for them. You got some other pieces, but they're going to need some big-time relievers in this series here, especially with some big-time relievers going down. Who's going to step up in the bullpen? And my last key for the Yankees. What the heck is Garrett Cole going to do? Garrett Cole, I feel like, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. Garrett Cole, taking a look at Garrett Cole, it's like this guy should be the best pitcher in baseball. 33 starts, a 3.50 ERA, 3.47 FIP. You're a 3-win player this year. It's like, what is that? Let's go look at his value from this year. He was worth $26 million. What is his AAV? Okay, yeah, so he was very far off from the $36 million salary. So last year he was worth it. But, yeah, this year, not so much. Garrett Cole has not really been that ace. He's got a lot of strikeouts. He had 200 innings pitched. And overall, he had, how many strikeouts? He had 257 strikeouts. So he's going to strike guys out. But Garrett Cole has had a knack for getting hit around. If there is a team that he could really get it together against, it's Cleveland. Let me actually go pull up here Cleveland's ranking when it comes to WRC+. 16th overall. That makes sense because you have some guys in this lineup that are good, but then you have some guys as well. They're not really going to be doing all that much. So Garrett Cole, if he wants to turn in a dominant performance, here's his chance against Cleveland. So, but then again, Garrett Cole, hey, going back to my Red Sox last year, he got roughed up against them in the postseason. What's going to happen this year? We'll have to wait and see, but I think Garrett Cole's a big key for the Yankees. So getting back here, they have the Yankees at a 57.7% chance of winning this series. The most likely outcome, again, we're seeing a similar trend here with all of the series. They have the Yankees winning it in 5 games, a 21.9% chance, and Cleveland's best shot would be 17.2% chance in 4 games. So I'm going to be honest, I'm 50-50 with this one. I know the Yankees, you got firepower all over this place, but this Guardians team is just really good. They're just really good at all the little things. So I'm going to go 50-50 here. I picked the Guardians to win this series in my predictions. I don't know, that's probably not the most reliable thing to go off here, but this is a good team. This is a good team. They found their identity there, in the second half of the season. They looked really good down the stretch. I think they can knock off this Yankees team. I really do. I really do. But right now, I'm very 50-50 here. This could go either way. Expect a very good series here. But then again, who knows? The Yankees could just really turn it on and just completely just blow them out of the water. I could see that too. You never know what could happen in postseason baseball. We had a super chat earlier. Ted Evans, what's going on, my friend? What's your favorite non-Red Sox team of all time? Oh, man, really got me on the spotlight with that one. Man, I'd have to think about that. I really like that 2004 Astros team. I liked watching that team in the postseason. That was a fun team. The 2016 Cubs, that just them doing what they did that year, that was a fun team to watch. The 2017 Cleveland Indians, they were really good. That was a really good team. They couldn't get anything done, though, in the postseason. They had that 20-game win streak. Who else? Man, there's a ton. There's some good ones, man. You had, the 95 Mariners team was a fun one. The 01 Mariners were just historic. That was just a crazy team. With just Ichiro coming from Japan that year. That was fun. Trying to think. I'd have to think about this a little more. I know I have more teams. I'm a visual person, so I just got to look. But those are the ones that come to my head. First off, I like those teams. That 04 Astros team, they were really fun in that postseason. You had Carlos Beltran, Jeff Bagwell, Biggio. You had the Killer Bees. I love that. That was fun. That 04 Cardinals team was also really good. That 04 Cardinals team actually might have been one of the best teams to never win that didn't win a World Series. they'd have to be up there. That was a really good team. Really good offense. You had Pujols, you had Edmund, and then Scott Rowland. Those 3 players were nuts that year. I think they were all at least an 8-win player. At least. I think they all had a Fangraph WAR of 8. At least 7. They were extremely good that year. If only if they had some more pitching. They just needed a little more pitching. What was another one? You know, I always liked those Giants teams with Tim Lincecum. I just loved Tim Lincecum. He was just so fun to watch. You know, I have a bit of a soft spot for the 09 Phillies because they had Pedro. I just loved watching seeing Pedro Martinez in that World Series against the Yankees was like the weirdest thing I ever saw. But I couldn't take my eyes off of it, you know? Watching Pedro pitch in the World Series against the Yankees in a Philly uniform. It was so weird. I was hearing the "Who's Your Daddy" chants. Oh, man, that 09 Phillies team, that was a pretty good team. It was a pretty good team. They couldn't get it done against that Yankees team, though. I feel like I go on for days. I feel like I'm just remembering these teams. You know, as much as I hated the 2008 Rays, if you were like a Rays fan, that was a fun team. Man, that team was good. They ended up losing to the Phillies that year, but man, there's a lot of them. Ted, I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit more, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Dustin Wood, $4.99. What's going on, my friend? The 2021 Braves were fun to watch. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. The Braves just last year, extremely fun. I loved Eddie Rosario in the NLCS last year. Man, that was a great team. You know, and the Braves, the way they put that team together, too, that was just a lot of fun, like what they ended up doing. You lost Ronald Acuna Jr., so you bring in all these other pieces to try and just replace him. You know, I loved it. I loved what they did. But I'm right down the middle with this series, everyone. I'm 50-50. I don't know which way it's going to go. We're just going to have to wait and see at the end of the day. Let's move on here. We got one more series to talk about. I think I have talked about 3. Yes, 3 so far. So I got one more here. We got one more. We got the late one tomorrow night. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing with the post games. God, man, you got to have a game start at 9:30 on the East Coast. I was talking about this last night, but it's like, oh, come on. You know? Like, yeah, a regular season game, fine. Started at 10 o'clock, you know? I'll just catch the box score in the morning. But come on, postseason here on the East Coast. I mean, I can watch a little bit, but God, I got to go to bed. It's almost my bedtime now. I got to work in the morning. I'm going to have to figure out what to do. But we got the Dodgers and we got the Padres. So, sharing the screen. No surprise here. Fangraphs, they give the Dodgers a huge chance of winning this series. 60% compared to the Padres, just about 40%. Yeah, no surprise. This Dodgers team has been extremely good this year. If we take a look at their rankings, they're 1st overall in offense, 4th overall in starting pitching, and 1st overall in relief pitching. There's a lot to like with this Dodgers team. But let's actually talk about the Padres first. This Padres team, going into the Mets series, even though my predictions were just so bad, I was saying that Padres team could beat the Mets because of the starting pitching. All right, Joe Musgrove really showed up there in Game 3. You know, Blake Snell, not really so much. Darvish dominated in Game 1. Sure, you're going to have Clevenger here for Game 1. We'll talk about that in just a second, but this is a good Padres team. Profar has been a nice surprise this series. Been pretty solid. Of course, you got Juan Soto. Juan Soto is Juan Soto. Machado is an MVP candidate this year. Josh Bell really started turning it on with the bat in that wild card round. Cronenworth, always loved me some solid Jake Cronenworth. Will Myers, kind of a forgotten player here, but he has been pretty decent lately. Ha-Sung Kim, very good defensively. Trent Grisham has come alive here in the postseason. This guy is basically Barry Bonds right now. And then you got Austin Nola. Hey, Brandon Drury, the guy you got at the deadline. You got him on the bench as of right now, according to Fangraphs. And then starting pitching, you are going to have Mike Clevinger for game 1. And then you got Darvish, Snell, and then Musgrove, most likely for 2, 3, and 4. And then you got Sean Manaea in long relief. I think that's a good spot for him. Hader has really picked it up in the bullpen. A good bullpen here for the Padres. If we take a look here, the Padres are 6th overall in relief pitching. Starting pitching, they're 9th overall. And with the offense, they're 13th overall. So the offense, let me actually look in the second half. Let's take a look at where they've been in the second half, because that's when they had Soto as well. So second half, the Padres are 10th. So a little better with Soto. Oh, super chat here. How are we doing? Matthew, what's going on, my friend? Got to give you credit. You had the strategy to beat Max. Let's go Padres. If the Padres beat the Dodgers, how shocked would you guys be if the Padres slay the dragon up north? Oh, my. If the Padres beat the Dodgers, that'll be the funniest thing ever. I will die laughing. I'll die. I'll laugh myself to death. I would. Because the Dodgers have destroyed the Padres this year. 14-5 against the Dodgers. And then the Padres end up winning the series. Oh, please. I just want it to happen against a team that won 111 games. I think people are forgetting that. This Dodgers team was so good, but they just have this stigma about them. Good in the regular season. I don't want to say good. Great. Amazing. Fantastic in the regular season. When it comes to the postseason, they just can't seem to get it done. But I said this last night. The Padres, they could do something in this series. Every series, any team can do something. But this team can do something. When you have the starting pitching like Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove in a playoff series, you got a chance. Absolutely. You got enough offense there to score some runs. They were really scoring some runs against the Mets. The bullpen has been pretty solid this year. You know, Hader has figured it out. You got Suarez and Martinez in there as well. I'm just saying the Padres, they have enough here. Here are my keys to the Padres. Taking a look here, Mike Clevinger, he is a big key. He's going to be huge in game 1. They are going to need to try and win that game. They got to try and steal it. Clevinger, though, he has been really bad against the Dodgers this year. I believe 2 or 3 starts, can't remember, but a 9.69 ERA, a 6.00 FIP. Clevinger has been awful against the Dodgers, but they're leaning towards him. They feel better than Sean Manaea, so let's see what ends up happening here. Trent Grisham. This is a guy who struggled against the Dodgers this year. He was 4 for 40 against LA, which is a 100 batting average, but it also it's quite handy that Trent Grisham has really heated up in the postseason. So Trent Grisham, I think, is going to be a big key in this series. And then you got to figure out how to keep Mookie Betts at bay against the Padres this year. He's hitting .361 with a .224 WRC plus. My goodness, Mookie Betts, you got to figure out how to keep that guy down, man. Here we go. Going back over here. Oh, we got another super chat here from Matthew. What's going on, my friend? If you notice, every series versus the Dodgers was getting closer and closer. I'm just, it felt like the Padres, like they were getting close to winning a couple of games there at the end. I think this series is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it goes 5. I do think it goes 5. And let's talk about the Dodgers here. Let's talk about the Dodgers. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. This team is just really good. You got Betts, Turner, Freeman. Those guys have been just nutcases this year. I mean, look at these numbers that they're putting up. Look at Freeman. Freeman he's an MVP candidate, hitting .325 with a .407 on base. You know, come on. Turner, stealing bases, doing everything well. Betts, doing everything well. I mean, I miss Mookie Betts, man. But then you got guys like, Will Smith, Muncy have been hitting for some power. Muncy, not really a great slash line overall. Turner, good on base of .350. Gavin Lux has stepped up for them this year. Chris Taylor has, I believe he's been dealing with some injuries lately. So that'll be interesting to see what Chris Taylor does. Bellinger, though, has been hot. He was hitting really well in that last series against the Rockies. Let's see if they can carry that over into the postseason. Starting pitching is a place of concern. I'll be honest here. If you're looking at a 1-2-3 of Urias, Kershaw, and like a Gonsolin, I mean, I almost like the Padres starting pitching a little bit better. Darvish, Musgrove, and Snell. I'll be honest. I think there's an argument for those three to like those three a little bit more. But these guys, they can go too. So it's pretty even there with the starting pitching, and then the bullpen. Listen, you got good arms here. I've said this until I've been pretty much blue in the face, but you got a lot of options here in this bullpen, and I mean that in a good way. And in a slightly negative way as well. Craig Kimbrell is no longer the closer. Who's the closer? Who's going to be the guy? I'm telling you, it's so important. Unless they prove me wrong, I have seen it firsthand. It tends not to work out. Let's see if the Dodgers can be that team that can have it work out. Chapperwocky, what's going on, my friend? $10 super chat. Nobody is asking the most important Dodgers-Padres series question. How many fistfights will break out in the stands? Ooh! Oh, you know it's going to be tough. It's going to be tense. It's going to be tense out there in LA and San Diego. That's going to be fun, man. Hey, I didn't think about that. I wonder if it can get pretty testy out there. Hey, could maybe the Dodgers and the Padres get into, some feistiness out there on the field? We'll have to wait and see. But here are my keys for the Dodgers. Here are my keys. Julio Urias. He's had some good starts against the Padres this year. However, his FIP against the Padres this year over a few starts, a 4.49 FIP, while the ERA was in the low twos. Just want to keep you all aware of that. And his xFIP was even higher, a 4.90 xFIP. So look out for Julio Urias. Maybe the Padres, maybe they got a little something on him. And my next key, who closes out the games? I just mentioned this. I have never been a fan of closer by committee. I've seen it firsthand. 2003 with the Red Sox, it did not work. Can they make it work? Can they make it work? You got Treinen coming back, probably Dustin May. Dustin May has actually been horrible against the Padres this year. Do you even want Dustin May to pitch in this series? I don't know. The Padres have hit him hard this year. And Bellinger, can he stay hot? He was really good there against the Rockies in that last series. He hit 450 over his last 20 ABs. So I think he had 9 hits in his last 20 at-bats. So for the Dodgers, there's a lot to like about this team. A lot to like. But I think the Padres can beat them. I do. I'm not saying they're going to. I think you have to lean Dodgers with how good they've been. But the Padres have a chance. They definitely have a chance here. I would say the Padres have more of a chance to beat the Dodgers than the Mariners do against the Astros. Can the Mariners and the Padres both just win? The 2017 World Series opponents just getting knocked out in the first round after 2 really good seasons. Could you imagine? I'm just saying. Could you imagine a Mariners-Padres World Series? Those two teams who had like the best farm systems in baseball at one point. So I'm just saying. But everyone, those are my keys for every single team. Those are which ways I'm leaning for every single series. To me, I think this is going to be a really fun division round. There's going to be a lot of good baseball here. So, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. It's 10:30 here on the East Coast. I'm starving. I got to eat something. And then I got to go to bed. I told you, it's almost my bedtime. It's almost bedtime. Everyone, get ready for some division round baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone, on your way out, if you can, hit the like button for me. The goal for tonight was 100. And if anyone is new, think about subscribing down below. We're trying to get to 27,000 here, and we're getting close. We're getting close. So think about subscribing. Again, hit the like button, hit the bell button. That way you get notified every single time I go live or upload content. Share the stream. Everyone, have yourself a wonderful evening, and I will see you next time.